live look at Burbank. Always exciting. We got a big movie star in the house. Jonathan Rhys Meyers is here. He's been in projects ranging from Bend It Like Beckham to the acclaimed series The Tudors, which is one of my favorites. Now he's playing an Israeli spy in the new movie Damascus Cover. Take a look.
For most of the past year, I have been German businessman Hans Hoffmann. My real name is Ari Ben-Sion. Lying to everyone is difficult, but my life depends on keeping the two worlds separate.
One of our agents has been killed in Demasc. We have to assume everyone is compromised.
Dr. Hazem Hamra, Jewish scientist who was our eyes and ears inside Syria's chemical weapons program.
We want him and his family out as soon as possible.
Let's stop wasting time. Let's go.
Jonathan Rhys Meyers, welcome.
Thank you very
so
much.
for
Good morning.
being here.
Thank you.
So talk to us about what is the sort of basic premise of this movie?
The premise of the movie is I play a character called Ari Ben-Sion, who has recently suffered an incredible tragedy. He left a loaded gun in his house, and his son killed himself with a loaded gun. Carrying this type of pain, he goes to rescue an Israeli operative, and the mission fails. The Israeli operative dies. So he comes back, and his handler, Mickey, played by the late great John Hurt, decides that he's not really fit for another operation. But an operation comes up at the last moment where Ari is almost perfect for it, as he has developed a character called Hans Hoffmann, who's a German carpet salesman. And so Mickey uses the vulnerability that Ari possesses at that time to use him as a patsy in another operation.
You know, the intelligence world is so relevant right now. There's so much conversation about it. And I know you did a lot of firsthand research talking to people that do this. What were some of the most surprising, most interesting takeaways?
I think the most interesting takeaway is how lonely these people live. They tend to not build very, very strong relationships, personal relationships outside of their work. They have very, very difficult ties with their family because they live their lives in service to a nation, in service to a government, in service to a people. And sometimes they have to do things that are ethically and morally unsound even to themselves. And so these men and these women who do a very, very dangerous job to protect the freedom of other people take on almost all the suffering of that themselves. And so it can be incredibly lonely, as I said, but it can be incredibly traumatic. And that's why when wars, as they do happen, and the intelligence services are part of that, why we should have such enormous respect for our soldiers, because they put their lives on the line for a very, very dangerous, but in the end, a serviceable purpose.
And speaking of having a lot of respect, so many people have so much respect for John Hurt. This was his last role.
Yes.
Talk to us about what it was like working with him and what it means to you to see him on screen one more time.
Well, actually, I have known, or I had known John for 25 years. He was an extraordinary person, and of course, he had that beautiful John Hurt voice. Right. This is something that, you know, is recognizable the world over. So he was able to bring a gravitas to his roles that younger actors just can't do because they don't have the experience. He was also a deeply, deeply intelligent man with a very, very sort of caring attitude to the world, the environment, and the other actors that he worked with, and the directors that he worked with. Our wonderful director, Daniel, had a wonderful time with him, and John respected him immensely for what he was doing in this film.
And one thing I really respect about you is how open you've been in so many aspects of your life, including talking about addiction. You had an incident at LAX where you were detained after getting into a bit of an argument with your wife. You've been open in sort of explaining what happened. A lot of people heard about that. Maybe you want to clear the air about what happened?
Well, basically, you know, obviously, I don't drink. And so I was very, very stressed, and I ordered a drink. My wife was very unhappy with this, and so she asked me to stop, which I did. I took out an e-cigarette to light an e-cigarette. I didn't realize that you can't light an e-cigarette on an airplane. And the airline staff asked me to stop. I complied. And then after I got off the airplane, I spoke to the very, very kind Los Angeles police who said, you can't smoke an e-cigarette. I apologized profusely. They understood the situation, and that's the entire story.
Right, and your wife has backed you up on Instagram and posted nice things about this and talked about that.
Well, my wife is a superior woman.
Yes.
She's very, very wonderful. It's not something that I will want to carry too much. It was an incident, and of course, in the media, they tend to blow it up a little bit bigger than it is.
Right.
But everybody was fine. I gave my apologies to the necessary people, and they accepted them, and they realized that it was a minor mistake.
And what's the bottom line message for people that may be struggling with addiction, that need some help, that are watching you, that you can help inspire?
Oh, well, if you feel that you are suffering from some sort of, any type of addiction or any type of problem that you have, there are lots of people you can speak to. Mm-hmm. I speak to a wonderful therapist who he's explained to me very, very clearly, Mr. Rhys Meyers, you are not an alcoholic. You're somebody who shouldn't drink, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're that. Mm-hmm. But if you feel that you do have a problem, AA is an incredible organization. They're a very, very kind organization, and they open the doors to everybody. Yeah. And if you do feel that you have a problem, there are people that can help, and it can be solved.
Yeah. Well, I think your willingness to talk about it helps a lot of people, and we
I hope
appreciate
so.
that. And thank you. Congratulations on the movie. It looks really interesting and super relevant right now. Damascus cover, limited release. It's playing at Laemmle's Royal Theater in West LA, Laemmle's Town Center 5 in Encino, and the AMC Sunset 5 in West Hollywood. It goes nationwide next week, but get a special preview right here in Southern California this weekend. Jonathan Rhys Meyers, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure.